The power of the magnetic. The pharaoh was considered a god of his time. He left works, he left enchantments, and marvels that flourish to today as relics from those primitive times of his empire of enchantment. He was a very evil man and developed his great work of magnetism, which was a force inspired by the ancient gods in conquest of the proud ones and of those ones who shined the most. The pharaoh shined with his great magnetic gift, emerged by the secret of the animals. At that time, the clothes are all completely different from nowadays. They were made of animal skin, and the pharaoh, as he was a great wise man, wore clothes that were compromised of all sorts of skins and furs from animals of that time. If the cloth was of fur, he would make it with a piece of a fur from each animal. If it was of a hide, the same thing. If it was of feathers, also the same thing. At that time, the living beings last for a long time, and their preoccupation was only the study of the nature. And for the duration being long, they had enough time to learn many things. The pharaoh was a good psychic, and taking possession of a great magnetic force, he developed that force and did great prodigies. The prodigies were such that nature ended up turning against their own inhabitants, giving origin to the existence of today called the Sahara Desert. The Sahara Desert became a kind of a cursed place, unproductive and subject to constant windstorms. Reason why, being of so long memories, the new generations think that they were exist a deluge, when in fact occurred a great earthquake. That is why, once in a while, you used to find bones of monster animals buried there. And the new generations start to know the distant existence of mastodons, which no one presently knows. Because of all this happened, you usually wrongly say that the world has already once ended by water. That is because, in other times, there was no transportation, no one considered going around, discovering new lands, to make contact with other nations and other places. Everyone lived in isolation. Everyone lived by themselves. The neighboring countries were very remote, far away from each other, and so no one knew of the existence of others. And that is why the supposition about the end of the world through a deluge came about. When the countries became more advanced, start to move around, it was when they came to discover the Sahara Desert, which was, in remote times, a large city. Then the primitive pharaoh, being of a great magnetic force, did everything from overnight. And because the people follow the same symbol of magnetism, that is why they were of a bad and devilish people, doing impossible and bizarre things, of so much evil among them. And for all of that, not to spread among other people. With time, nature itself revolted against its inhabitants. Later, many different pharaohs appeared in those same conditions, with those same influence from the enchantment, still existing up today, their enchanted caves where reigns the malefactions to any creature that dares to enter in those caves where they were buried.